In this tutorial, I'll show you guys how to fade elements in and out, and also how to toggle a fade effect on element, and also how we can fade the element to a certain opacity. So the first one that I want to talk about here is this one where we're selecting our fade out button, and when somebody clicks on it, we're going to select all of the images and fade them out. So let's go over to the right side and click fade out, and you'll see those images faded out. And then we can click fade in, and they're going to fade back in. These functions can also take like an integer. Like if we want to fade this over 1 second, we can just pass 1,000 milliseconds in there. And let's refresh on the right side, and I'll click fade out, and then I'll click fade in, and that's going to fade in over that amount of time. You can also pass these fade in and fade out functions the type of animation you want. So there's swing, and there's also linear, and that's just going to change like the effect slightly just on how it fades in, how it fades out. The next thing I want to talk about is the fade toggle method, and you can see what we're doing here. We're selecting our fade toggle button, and when somebody clicks on it, we're selecting all of the images, and then we're doing .fade toggle. And what that's going to do is it's going to check if it's faded out, then it's going to fade it in. And if it sees that it's faded in, then it's going to fade it out. And we're going to do that at a normal speed, and we're going to do it with the swing animation. So let's just try that fade toggle button here, and you'll see that's doing just what it's supposed to do, fading those images in and out. In the next example here, what we want to do is we want to fade the image to a certain opacity, and the opacity ranges from 0 to 1. And in this case, what I want to do is I want to fade it to an opacity level of 0.4. So if I click the fade to button, you'll see both of those images faded to an opacity level of 0.4. In the last example, what I wanted to do here was set up our own custom toggle where we check what the opacity level is, and if the opacity level was 1, then we're going to fade it to 0.4. And if we see that it's 0.4, then we want to fade it back to 1. And the way that I originally wanted to do this was using jQuery's .toggle method. And the way that .toggle works is it takes two functions as its argument, and basically it just alternates between the two functions. So it does the first function and then does the second function, and it works like that. But .toggle was actually deprecated in jQuery 1.8, and it was removed in 1.9. And in this tutorial, I'm using jQuery 1.9. So I didn't have that available to me anymore, but it was pretty easy to set up my own custom toggle here. So I'll just show you how I did that. And what we're doing first here is we're just going to cache the first image in this local variable here. So you can see I'm selecting the image where it has an src attribute where bird1 is in the source somewhere, and then we're just storing this element in bird1, and this just makes our code a bit more effective. So we're not constantly going into the DOM and we're fetching this element over and over again when we only need to do it one time. So we're selecting the first image, and then we're storing it in this variable bird1. And after we do that, we're selecting our toggle button, and when somebody clicks on it, we're going to run this function. And what we're doing here is we're checking if bird1's opacity level is equal to 1. And if it's equal to 1, then we're going to return 0.4. And if it was not equal to 1, then we know it was equal to 0.4, and then we're going to return 1. And whatever gets returned here, we're storing that in the variable O right here. And what we do after that is we select our bird1 element, and then we're just fading it to that variable's opacity level, whatever it is. So if I refresh on the right side here and we click custom toggle, you'll see that image was faded to 0.4. And if we click it again, it goes to 1. And we've created our own custom toggle effect that way. So that's basically how fading works in jQuery, and thanks for listening.